Well, hopefully I can make this as clear as mud. I'm trying to troubleshoot my fuel gauge, and if you look at the back of it, it's got 4 pins, right? You know, here's my knife, my pointing device. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're not actually using all the pins. You're actually using only 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. This one that's on the outside, which would be here, okay? Let me put my light on here. That would be to the outside that way, okay? So when you're looking at, let's see if that's too bright. That's not too bright. So the fuel gauge sits right up in here. 1, 2, 3 pins. Actually, the 4th one up here, I don't know, it just sits up there. That's just to hold the gauge in, right? There's always 4 screws. So the one on the left, that's your power. So I'm checking it. I got it grounded out, and you see, okay, I got the key on. It's got power. So turn the key off. No power, right? So that's the power. It's got power. It's got, we know it does because the gauge goes full, okay, all the way. And that's the problem. The gas tank is actually empty, okay? Now, we're going to put this gauge on, we're going to take this pin and we're going to put it to, this clip, the alligator clip, we're going to put it on that side, okay? So you got, again, you got 1, that's power up there. This side is, that's your ground. So you got power and a ground to operate the gauge. So let's put it on your ohm meter. And not sure if that's the right one or if that's the other one. Let's see, is this one down here? Okay, boo 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 boo. It's kind of jumping all over the place. Let me put it on here. That, So I'm trying to figure out which one is the actual, there's like a power and a ground to operate power to the gauge. And then there's one wire goes back to the fuel tank. If the fuel tank wire, the wire going to the center unit is broken, there's going to be, the gauge will read full. If the wire going to the gas tank is grounded out, the gas tank, it's going to read empty. That's how those gauges work. Let me see if I'm kind of guessing around here, so I'll figure it out, man. So that must be the one to the, the one on the right. I expected, you know what? I actually expected the one, I expected this bottom one to be the one to the gas tank. I guess not. But then again, when you're looking at the, what do you call it? The volt gauge, it's these two going across here is what's operating the volt gauge. And, it might be, and it's these two that are operating, the gauge itself, giving it power, and this one's the one going to the gas tank. So the one to the gas tank shows, yeah, I'm not sure if I got a really good ground here because I'm just kind of sticking it on this. That's this is my rocker panel thing here. And it's screwed into the body, so it's probably not a perfect ground, so they're showing a little bit of resistance. So if I had a really good ground someplace, I don't know where. Nowhere, I don't know. But that's, so the bottom one must be the negative. The bottom one. I expected it to be across the top, but I guess maybe that's not how it, so this is positive, the bottom one is the negative that operates the gauge, and this one is the one that goes to the back of the gas tank. And considering there's, yeah, there's totally infinite resistance no matter where I put the scale on. That should mean that's why the gauge is showing full, because as the float goes down, that's what makes the gauge go down, and it's actually adding more resistance to that one connection as the float goes down. So if the wire, as the float goes down, it's adding less resistance. If the float is all the way up, it's got like a lot of resistance, and the gauge shows full. So if the wire is broken to the gas tank, or the wire is corroded at the connection at the gas tank, or the float is bad, but it could be just the wire's corroded at the connection to the gas tank, you could show infinite resistance there, which I'm showing infinite resistance. That's why the gauge is reading full. And if the wire is broken to the gas tank, or if the wire is grounded to somewhere along the lines going to the gas tank, and you have, which is not, because that wire, this would be showing infinite, it just would be showing zero resistance if it was grounded. Then the gauge would read empty no matter what. So let me see if I can plug this gauge in with some wires and make it go down with alligator clips. Okay, so I got wires connected to the back of the gauge as if they were connected up here. You know, like you got the one wire. If I'm looking at this right, God, you can see this. Hopefully, you guys can see this in the camera. You got the one wire to the left. This is where the fuel gauge sits, right in that area to the left. That's connected to the left side over here. Then you got the one that's on the bottom, that's a ground, that operates the gauge. Now you notice the gauge is saying empty. Now obviously the gauge works because I took the one that's on the right hand side, that's the one that goes to the gas tank. Okay? That goes to the gas tank. I grounded it out over here, right there. So if I disconnect this clip, see, gauge goes full. So I either got a problem of breaking a wire, dirty connection on top of the fuel tank where the wire is connected to the sending unit. The sending unit's bad, or there's something wrong back in here whereby there's like a metal foil thing that connects all this bullshit. If there's something wrong with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a manual connection from that clip right here. That's the I'm going to make a manual connection to it, the one that's on the right hand side. I'm going to make a manual connection to it from the one that's on that side to the back of the gas tank. If there's something wrong within the back of the dash, because I'm not going to replace that part for that freaking bullshit. It costs money, it costs effort too. So again, you look at the gas gauge, it's just full, which is the problem. It's not full. I connect it, I ground it out, so the gauge is good. So it's either somewhere between this gauge in the back of the tank, either the wire is broken, corroded, or the sending unit's bad. Hopefully it's just a freaking corroded wire or some shit broken. It could be, but we shall find out. And what I could do too is I can run a wire manually, like this yellow wire right back here. See how? Oops, it's disconnected. But it's this one right here. That one. That's the one to the gas tank. I could run a clip from there, get a spool of wire, and then just connect it to the sending unit, and then see if the gas gauge works. Then I know I could trace it from there. So that's what I'll probably do. But I just wanted to put out in detail how this works, because I get confused about it. Obviously, I just told you, I just flip-flopped on a couple things I said, like in other words, when the wire is broken to the gas tank, to the sending unit, your gauge is going to say full. If your wire rubs through on a body someplace and it grounds out to the body, your gauge is going to read empty. So not all the time is it the sending unit, and not all the time is it the wire someplace. Sometimes it's the crap that's behind here, because there's a metal foil thing, that circuit board, almost like, it's not really a circuit board, it's like a metal thing that connects all these things. That can be broken somewhere in the back. If that's broken, I'm just gonna bypass it with a wire and I'll have it fixed. But that's how you troubleshoot it, and you definitely want a gas gauge. Unless you're on a motorcycle, on a Harley. I don't have a gas gauge. I'm glad I don't, because there's some other shit that freaking could possibly break. Anyway, over and out. Quick video on how this works, and not that complicated, actually. Over and out. I should add, it's not that complicated. It's just time consuming. That's why you don't want to take your car to a mechanic, because you'll be paying by the shop hour, especially if it's a dealership. So do it yourself, and just take your time. It is time consuming to do this shit. Electrical problems can be a pain in the ass, but they can be fixed.